In 2024, Alison supported a Peruvian vegan attorney and 2 university students in securing international assistance for a constitutional case in Peru. Through this work, Alison is committed to advancing vegan rights and aligning legal efforts with climate action and justice for all beings. Would you please help me welcome to the online stage, Alison Hamje.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. So yes, I'm here in Lima, Peru, and I'm so happy to be a part of this convergence. And I must say that I found James Wilson's presentation very moving, very emotional, and I think Tammy hit it right on the head. It's your honesty, James, and so I think I speak for all of us that we'd like to continue to hear more from you. You're an inspiration. I have a presentation I'd like to share, so give me 30 seconds to call it up here. You should be able to see my presentation.
Yes, we see it.
Okay, good. Oh, I just realized I need to call up something else. I'm behind the 8 ball. Hang on one second. I think many of you know me as a climate healer, and others of you may know me for my work here in Peru with the organization called Ollas Comunes Veganas. We were active with the food healers last year, actually it was the year before, probably 2 years ago now, November. And, but most recently, I've gotten involved with a case here in Peru. And so here's my presentation. Welcome to the Right to Conscience for Vegans, a case in point. And since April of this year, some of you have gotten to know me for my role in this legal case known as Takuri and Andrade versus the UNMSM, which I took on not because of my knowledge of law, but because the plaintiffs in this case were looking for a vegan, bilingual individual to seek international support for their case. The case involves these 2 university students, which you see on the screen, and they were requesting and were denied a vegan option in their university cafeteria called Universidad Nacional Mayor San Marcos, UNMSM. So with the support of the Institute of Legal Defense here in Peru, these 2 students have sued their university for vegan meals and recognition of their rights as vegans. Here is their story. I like to say that most often legal cases associated with veganism are brought to trial in defense of the rights of animals or in defense of the rights of activists to defend the rights of animals. But there is a growing body of legal cases defending the right to conscience for vegans. And the potential for this legal domain is broad, encompassing the right to conscience for vegans in universities, in hospitals, in jails, and in workplaces, to mention a few important applications. Veganism represents a link between human rights and animal rights. Getting involved with this case has given me a crash course in the rights which vegans have. and one of my strongest allies has been the Vegan Society. Back in April, I contacted Alistair Stewart of PlantBased Universities in London, who immediately said that I needed to get in touch with the Vegan Society. And to my surprise, I discovered that the Vegan Society has legal staff to support vegans to defend their rights. And it also has a network of attorneys, which our attorney here in Peru has subsequently become a member. This network is strategizing and building on cases around the world toward the universal recognition of the rights of vegans. So when I wrote to the Vegan Society, they responded immediately. I think it was the same day. And they responded with great interest and willingness and enthusiasm to support our case. In addition to their expertise, they also maintain a blog to disseminate news on the advancement of rights of vegans. In broad terms, what the Vegan Society has found is a body of legal protections going back to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, known as UDHR, signed by 48 countries in 1948. In broad strokes, the Vegan Society documents a progression of declarations, covenants, commissions, cases, and findings since 1948, all revolving around the fundamental right to conscience. I think it's interesting to note that the Vegan Society was founded in 1944, so it shows up first on this timeline, 4 years before the signing of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So getting back to our case in Peru, these two students were selected by the representing attorney at the Institute of Legal Defense here to represent the larger population of vegans studying at this UNMSM. Because these two students were committed or are committed, but also they were selected because they are early enough in their studies that they should be able to stay with a likely extended legal process. In other words, their case against the university would no longer be valid were they to graduate before a final resolution to their demands has been secured. Article 2.3 of Peru's Constitution grants individuals freedom of conscience and clearly aligns with internationally agreed principles such as Article 18 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 18 of the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Also, under Article 2.2 of the Peruvian Constitution, discrimination is prohibited. This principle can be applied to support vegans to ensure equitable access to food in public settings like a public university. And failing to accommodate vegans under this Article 2.2 could constitute unequal treatment based on ethical belief. So the initial hearing for this case already took place exactly 2 months ago on September 9th. Present at the hearing were the two plaintiffs, their attorney, 3 international experts, including Dr. Rao of Climate Healers, Dr. Bernard of the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine, and Dr. Rowley of the Vegan Society, plus 2 local experts, including a nutritionist and an ethicist, and of course, the attorney for the university, the attorney for the defense, and the public at large. So, what is this university, and what's all this fuss about? Why aren't they providing a simple vegan option? As I said before, most often legal cases associated with veganism are brought to trial in defense of the rights of animals or of the rights of activists to defend the rights of animals. But this case represents a growing body of legal cases defending the right to conscience for vegans. And the potential for this legal domain is actually quite broad, encompassing the right to conscience for vegans in universities, in hospitals, in jails, and workplaces, to mention a few important applications. Veganism represents a link, as I said before, between human rights and animal rights. And each precedent builds on the body of evidence toward a more universal recognition of the right to conscience for vegans. This university, UNMSM, is the oldest continuously operating university in the Americas, and it's known as the Dean of America. It was founded in 1548. It's a public university located here in Lima, Peru's capital city, with both undergraduate and graduate schools offering 66 undergraduate programs and 77 master's degree programs and 27 doctoral programs. The UNMSM is extremely competitive because it's free for all who gain entrance. Currently, over 45,000 students, including their meals and their housing. So here's what the plaintiffs are demanding. First, they request that the Dean of America, UNMSM, provide an option suitable for vegans in its university dining hall, which must also be validated by a nutritionist specialized in vegan nutrition. In addition, they demand that the university establish a registry of vegan students so that the vegan population there acquires objective recognition as a segment of the university population, and that it remain recognized after the two vegan plaintiffs have graduated. Thirdly, they request and demand that veganism be recognized as an ethical principle protected by the right to freedom of conscience. These are the logos of the entities which have endorsed this suit and which are permitting the use of their logo in support of the case. And I should mention that we have just secured the support of PETA, so we'll be adding their logo to this list. The following are some images of the hearing held, like I said, exactly 2 months ago. This is the attorney representing the case. In his own words of conclusion, he says, "Our case is justified because freedom of conscience implies guaranteeing the minimum conditions for the effective exercise of their respect for animals under the principles of equality and non-speciesism." So this attorney did all the groundwork and laid the case before the court on September 9th, after which Dr. Neil Bernard spoke in summary of a document that he had previously written and submitted to the judge as a friend of the court. And he's shown here with our translator speaking about the nutritional benefits of a plant-based diet. The judge then called on Dr. Jeanette Rowley of the Vegan Society to present the summary of her documentation previously presented to the judge on the right to conscience for the vegan students. Dr. Rao followed with a summary of the documentation that he had presented to the judge on the environmental implications of this case. And Dr. Rao closed stating, therefore, the plaintiff's demand for vegan meals at UNMSM can be seen as an educated response to the urgent environmental crises. Next, this is the plaintiff, Gabriela Santos Takuri, speaking emotionally to the judge. And then the second plaintiff, Luis Florian Andrade, presenting his case to the judge. And meanwhile, outside the judiciary courthouse, students and other people sympathetic to the lawsuit showed their total support to the plaintiffs. So let me say a word about the judicial process here. Where do we go from here? Of course, the hearing was already 2 months ago. So now what we're doing is, as we await the judgment on the case, we are currently submitting supplemental data to the judge from the 3 international experts in support of our case. So we've already submitted additional data from Dr. Rao. Tomorrow we'll be submitting additional data from Dr. Bernard, and we have the written information already from the Vegan Society, but we need to go through the translation process and get that approved. We expect a ruling in the 4th quarter of this year, 2024, or the 1st quarter of 2025. That's one of the things I've learned about the judicial process. I don't think it's just here in Peru. It's arduous, it's slow, and you just have to trudge through it. So no matter who wins when the judgment comes down, whether it's us or whether it's the university, one of us will appeal. So we're expecting that it'll be the university that will have to appeal, assuming that we win. And then there'll be a subsequent hearing, which will involve a whole panel of judges. And after that process, if necessary, there will be a final hearing before the Peruvian Supreme Court. So, what is the relevance of this case? In her support of our case, Dr. Jeanette Rowley, on behalf of the Vegan Society, presented case evidence from rulings in several European countries, including the UK, Denmark, Germany, Italy, and Portugal. Expanding this list of cases with cases like ours outside of Europe will strengthen the breadth of support among the signatories of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. And this benefits all of us. Also, the broadening of the scope of these cases involving the right to conscience for vegans from situations in universities, places of work, prisons, hospitals, schools, and more will strengthen the legal grounds of support to vegans defending their right to conscience toward the universal recognition of the rights of vegans to conscience. So that is my presentation. And I'd be happy to answer any questions. The idea is that we learn about our rights to conscience and that we find ways to bring other cases to suit as we live our lives as vegans, whether it be in the US, in New Zealand, in the UK, no matter where we are. Renee? We can't hear you, Renee. You're muted. Still can't hear you, Renee. Okay.
Okay. All right. Anyway, thank you again, Allison, and we are going into Q&A now. So yes, Danny.
So, Deb Thompson asks, do you know if there have ever been, or are there currently, any other vegan right to conscious cases in Peru or elsewhere?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Did you hear that?
I heard the question. Yes. And so, yes, I do know of another case that's currently in process. It's a case in Spain. There is a group of parents that have organized and have initiated a case in schools where students are not being given vegan options. I'm not sure if they're public schools. I'm guessing they are public schools. So that is a case that's currently in process, and all of their materials are online, but they're in Spanish. And that's the only other one that I know of currently that is in defense of conscience. Other cases, of course, we all know about Jordi Casamajana in the UK, who won his case on the basis of conscience. And there are other cases. I really stress the importance of checking out this website at the Vegan Society. They really have done their research, and you can find more information about the right to conscience for vegans at their website, but also there are other case listings, historic cases. Every year they have a conference. The attorneys that belong to this network of attorneys in support of vegans on the basis of conscience. And they just met last month in Denmark, and they have asked us if we're interested in hosting their conference next year here in Peru.
Welcome to eSchool Solutions SmartFind Express Substitute Management System. SmartFind Express is a telephone and browser-based.
Well.
From out in space.
Yeah. Please continue, Allison.
Yeah, so I don't know, does that answer your question?
Does that answer the question? Allison is asking.
Looks like.
All right. Other question, Danny.
Can we lawsuit our way to a vegan world?
Can we lawsuit our way to a vegan world?
I think, thank you for that question. I think that's a good question. And
We can't hear her.
you can't hear me?
Now we can. Go ahead, Allison.
Okay, good. I think Dr. Rao, I think Sailesh will be talking about that a little bit more later. But the way I see it is our case has been supported by this network of attorneys in other countries that are working on this. And in defending our case here in Peru, they did use case evidence from other situations in other countries. So there is this growing body that is being built. And the more of a foundation that we build of cases, the easier it will become. In this world of lawsuits, which I am not, I'm not an attorney, I'm not very experienced in this. I'm just sharing my own experience with this particular case here in Peru and what I've learned, particularly through the Vegan Society, is that there is this large international network of attorneys that are working on this. And they are building this foundation, which we can all use. And I would ask each and every one of you to maybe talk among ourselves about where we are experiencing discrimination, where we feel like our right to conscience is being infringed upon, and to reach out to the Vegan Society, to the attorneys in this network of attorneys, and to see if you, in your place of work, in the hospital where you live, in your workplace, in the jails, in the universities, in the public schools, to see if you have a case that can be put before a judge.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have a question. Lisa Barca has a question.
Yeah,
Come on up
Lisa.
here.
Okay.
Come right on up.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
No stranger to the stage.
Okay,
Spotlight.
thank you, I guess so.
Hi, Lisa.
Thank you for that wonderful talk. I was wondering if you know if any of these cases have reached outside the issue of food options, which is obviously very important, into other areas of student and educator rights, such as students having to hear and perhaps be practically cornered into accepting outdated speciesist views in their classes.
Yes.
The use of horrific animal testing on so many campuses, and then also professors, right, like me, who try to teach about these currently, unfortunately, very unconventional topics in a way that's not, sugarcoating it. Like, has any of it reached into those areas at all, as far as you know?
Yeah.
Thank
Stay
you,
with me.
Lisa.
Stay with
Thank you.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask Lisa to stay with me there.
Lisa,
But-
come here.
Oh, stay there. Okay.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Our attorney here is hell-bent on winning this case. It's not just to get vegan meals for these students at the university. It's because he sees that this is the foundation for getting the rights to students in the School of Veterinary Medicine, so that they don't have to study these things, they don't have to study how the different cuts of meat or how to keep animals alive in situations of, the CAFO situation. These are things that veterinary students are required to study and to specialize in order to get their degree. So the attorney here is working on winning the case here just for that very reason, to support students in the School of Veterinary Medicine, in the jails, in the hospitals. He sees this as a foundation for all of these cases going forward, not just here in Peru, but anywhere else in the world. Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for taking my
Appreciate it.
question. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much. All right. Well, that was a great conversation, one that I want to continue thinking about as well. Thank you, Alison. And I know coming straight up, we have Barbara Pearl. Is she ready and on? In 30 seconds. Alison, thank you so much. Thank you
You're
so much for
welcome.
being here on Climate Healers. A warm round of applause for Alison.